I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. Women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Did Whoopi Goldberg just lose her throne on The View? In a shocking turn of events, conservative firebrand Karoline Leavitt left the talk show, Queen speechless. What started as a typical heated debate quickly spiraled into a career-defining moment. Leavitt's calm demeanor and fact-based takedown had even Joy Behar squirming in her seat. You won't believe what happened next. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Whoopi Goldberg thought she had Karoline Leavitt cornered, but little did she know, she was about to walk right into a trap of her own making. The View's studio was buzzing with anticipation as Whoopi launched into her signature lecture on wokeness and diversity. You could practically see the gleam in her eye as she prepared to school the young conservative guest. But here's where things got really interesting. Instead of jumping in to defend herself, Leavitt sat quietly, letting Whoopi dig herself deeper and deeper. The audience started to shift uncomfortably in their seats as Whoopi's rant took an unexpected turn. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You knew something bad was about to happen, but you couldn't look away. Then came the moment that would change everything.
And as you mentioned, with conservative women, there's a long list of that, both of Trump's previous press secretaries, females, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Kayleigh McEnany, other figures like his campaign manager. That's probably kind of what the groupthink is. So one defense, I guess, is that she was speaking to her audience, but you take it outside of that bubble the way you are right now, and we all can see meant it when she made that statement, and she was conflating it with civil rights and how, women didn't have the right to vote or own property and all of that. That has nothing to do with wokeness, which is, of course, about putting people in there because of their immutable characteristics rather than the merit that they bring to the
Whoopi, clearly feeling confident, decided to go for the jugular. She looked Leavitt straight in the eye and declared, "I would like this young lady who this is her first job, because without that wokeness, you might not have that job." The studio fell silent. You could hear a pin drop as everyone waited to see how Leavitt would respond. But Leavitt didn't flinch. She didn't raise her voice or lose her cool. Instead, she calmly dismantled Whoopi's argument piece by piece. She talked about the real costs of woke government projects and how the movement had transformed from a fight for fairness into a political weapon. It was like watching a master chess player systematically taking down their opponent. As Leavitt spoke, the atmosphere in the studio changed dramatically. The audience, who had been squirming just moments before, were now hanging on her every word. Even Joy Behar, Whoopi's longtime co-host, looked visibly uncomfortable. It was clear that this wasn't going according to plan. But the real shocker, Whoopi Goldberg, the queen of comebacks, was left completely speechless. For the first time in The View's history, the outspoken host had nothing to say. It was a moment that would go down in daytime TV history.
Women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. Talk about it, and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a person's world.
Viewers at home couldn't believe what they were seeing. Social media exploded with reactions, with many expressing shock at Whoopi's dismissive comments about Leavitt's qualifications. Others praised Leavitt for keeping her cool under pressure and sticking to the fact. Just when ABC thought The View couldn't sink any lower, the show's ratings took a nosedive that sent shockwaves through the network. The social media storm was just the beginning. As viewers tuned out in droves, ABC executives were about to face their worst nightmare. For months, The View had been hemorrhaging viewers. But why? It seemed the show's constant controversies and heated debates were no longer must-see TV. Instead, they were driving audiences away in record numbers. The once unshakable daytime staple was now on shaky ground. But here here's where things got really interesting. Advertisers, the lifeblood of any TV show, started pulling out faster than you can say, commercial break. The View's biggest sponsors were jumping ship, leaving ABC scrambling to fill ad slots. It was a financial bloodbath, and the network was feeling the pain.
My point is that job would not maybe have been open to her.
No, I understand. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Whatever you're saying, this is the first time that she's been this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason.
Behind closed doors, ABC executives were in full-blown panic mode. The View wasn't just losing viewers, it was losing millions in ad revenue. Crisis meetings became a daily occurrence as higher-ups desperately tried to stop the bleeding. But with each passing day, the situation looked more and more grim. You won't believe what happened next. Whispers of cancellation started to circulate within ABC's hallowed halls. The unthinkable was suddenly becoming a real possibility. Could this really be the end of The View? The show that had been a daytime TV institution for decades was now teetering on the brink of oblivion. The atmosphere on set was tense, to say the least. The other co-hosts were on edge, worried about their futures as the ship seemed to be sinking fast. Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and the rest of the gang put on brave faces for the cameras.
Giving the authority to go into churches and go into schools.
We empowered law enforcement to enforce the law everywhere to protect Americans.
A chilling effect, arguably, to people to not send their kids.
We absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people are vetted.
Good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
But behind the scenes, it was a different story. The uncertainty was palpable, and everyone was wondering who might be next on the chopping block. In a shocking turn of events, ABC made a decision that no one saw coming. They announced that Whoopi Goldberg would be taking a break from The View to focus on other projects. But let's be real, we all know what that means in Hollywood speak. It was a classic case of you can't fire me, I quit. The View's future hangs in the balance as Whoopi Goldberg's departure sends shockwaves through ABC. Insiders are buzzing with speculation about the show's next move. Will they shake things up with a more balanced panel? The silence from Whoopi's camp only adds fuel to the fire. What's her next move? The drama is far from over, folks. But here's where things get really juicy. The View without Whoopi, it's like peanut butter without jelly. Can the show survive without its queen bee? ABC execs are scrambling to find answers, but the clock is ticking. Will they bring Whoopi back, or is this truly the end of an era? You won't believe what we've uncovered about the behind-the-scenes chaos at ABC. Stay tuned for our next video where we spill all the tea. Trust us, you don't want to miss this. Hit that subscribe button and get ready for the inside scoop.